The wind scraped across the empty desert town as the cowboy stepped off his horse, tired from another long day of wandering. He didn't expect to see anyone sitting by the abandoned trading post, but there she was, a young Apache woman, 30 years old, holding her arm as if it hurt. She looked exhausted, alone, and trying not to tremble. He approached slowly, noticing how she avoided his eyes. She wasn't weak, just worn down by a world that had forgotten her. She had been pushed aside by people who never cared to understand her story, treated like someone with no worth. But when the cowboy spoke gently, she finally lifted her gaze. He asked if she needed help, and she hesitated, unsure if she should trust him. She had traveled far after losing her family to conflict, carrying old injuries and fresh memories that still hurt. She told him she had nowhere left to go. He didn't press her for more. He simply offered kindness in the quiet way he knew how. She expected him to judge her like others had, but he didn't. Instead, he gave her his canteen, waited patiently as she drank, and told her she didn't have to leave. His voice was calm, steady, like he'd spent his whole life trying to learn how to speak softly in a loud world. She felt a small piece of fear slide off her shoulders. He brought her to his ranch, a simple place tucked between the hills where the sun touched the earth like a promise. She walked through the gate with caution, unsure of how long she'd be allowed to stay, but he gave her space, blankets, and warm food without asking anything from her. It wasn't charity, it was human decency. Days passed, and she helped around the ranch, tending the animals with surprising skill. The cowboy noticed how patient she was with even the wildest horses, how they calmed under her touch. She noticed how he always left the lantern burning on the porch so she wouldn't return to darkness. Without planning it, they began to build a rhythm together. She told him about the hardships she carried, how people had overlooked her strength and reduced her worth to nothing. He listened without interrupting, understanding that loneliness had shaped them both. He shared his own losses, the empty years spent living without anyone to call family. Somehow their stories fit together like two forgotten pieces of the same puzzle. Over time, she stopped sitting with her shoulders tight. He stopped speaking like every word might echo. The ranch became a place where past wounds didn't have to define them. He didn't rescue her, and she didn't save him. They simply found what they both needed: acceptance, belonging, and a quiet kind of loyalty that could not be bought. One evening, as the sun settled over the horizon, she stood beside him on the porch, realizing she was no longer wandering. He realized he didn't feel alone anymore. And when she said she wanted to stay, not because she had nowhere else, but because she felt safe, they both understood they had become a family of their own making.